Or if it's not perfect, it'll at least be really funny.
Yes.
Rushing things, but back to the halls again now. Oh, we need a little Christmas, right this very minute. Candles in the window, carols at the spinning. Yes, we need a little Christmas, right this very minute. Hasn't snowed a single flurry, but Santa Claus in a hurry. Fly down the chimney on the brightest string of lights I've ever seen. Slice up the fruitcake, and it hung some tinsel on evergreen bough. For I've grown a little leaner, grown a little colder, grown a little sadder, grown a little older, and I need a little angel sitting on my shoulder. Need a little Christmas now. Oh, we need a little music, need a little laughter, need a little singing, ringing through the rafter. Need a little snapping, happy ever after. Need a little Christmas now.
Good morning. Happy December 26th, Unitarian Universalist Congregation of York. I'm Reverend Jen, and I hope that you appreciate and enjoy this little greeting card that the staff has put together for us to enjoy on this Sunday morning after a long week of holiday celebrations. I hope you found rest, joy, and meaning during some part of this season, and I hope that you find rest in the week to come.
Good morning, and as my Christmas cards say, Merry Christmas and Happy Everything. I wanted first to thank you all for letting me be a part of this. I have received so much support over the last couple of months as I started this position and started my engagement and understanding of Unitarian Universalism. As some of you may know from conversations, by far I'm the least knowledgeable of Unitarian Universalism, having only heard about it a couple months ago. But I am learning a lot. I'm loving everything that I'm learning from you, from Matt, from Gretchen, from Reverend Jen. She's super academic, and I love it. Words like Lectio Divina and exegesis come rolling out of her mouth in such a way that I have to subtly look up what those words mean and then come back to the conversation and pretend I already knew. But in that spirit, I don't think this will quite count as a Lectio Divina, but it is an exegesis of my favorite Christmas story. I won't repeat the source material because it's probably familiar to at least some of you, but this is a deep reading of my favorite Christmas text. Rudolph is a flying and light-producing deer of the genus Ragnifer with a bioluminescent Nares housing protuberance with a dominant wavelength of approximately 700 nanometers. Rudolph's herd of sedentary Siberian tundra reindeer, RT sibericus, in the North Pole would experience rhythmical, often audible contractions of their diaphragms while insulting and applying demeaning labels to Rudolph. In addition, they would not allow Rudolph to engage in structured forms of play undertaken for enjoyment. This treatment lasted until a visible aerosol consisting of tiny water droplets caused a whiteout the evening before the festival commemorating the birth of Jesus. Because of these atmospheric conditions, an amalgam of the historical St. Nicholas and the Germanic god Woden tasked Rudolph to lead his sky vehicle so that he could bring gifts to the homes of well-behaved children. After this event, the members of Rudolph's herd felt a range of strong and positive emotional states toward Rudolph, passing air through the vocal folds with greater force than is used in regular vocalization. With pleasant emotions, they declared Rudolph's place in the written documents of the past. Or, if you prefer something closer to the original, Rudolph, the light-producing reindeer, had a bioluminescent nose, and if you measured its wavelength, 700 nanometers would be close. His herd of sedentary reindeer would apply very demeaning names. They wouldn't let poor Rudolph engage in structured forms of play. Then a visible aerosol caused St. Nicholas to say, "Rudolph, lead my skybound sleigh to the homes of the well-behaved." Then with pleasant emotions declared the members of his herd, "Rudolph, your place in the written documents of events is assured." Merry Christmas, happy everything, and now, as they say, for something completely different.
Hi everyone, it's your music director. I'm here in our beautiful sanctuary. I'm alone. I'm usually alone these days. I'm practicing or making a recording. And I just wanted to send you my Christmas greeting. We've been instructed to do a staff reflection. Of course, I reflect best through music, but I can share a few words with you in addition to a piece of music. There's a beautiful text in the Unitarian hymnal. It's called "Let Christmas Come." It's one of the hymns or songs for this season. And I wanted to share just one verse of that with you, the words, because they mean a lot to me. I shared this text with my family last year when we were gathering for what we thought correctly might be our last Christmas with our matriarch. Nana died this year on Mother's Day, and I'm sure a lot of us are missing people at Christmas, but we're missing her especially, and this reminds me of her, and it reminds me also of this community and the comfort that I've found here. So let Christmas come, its story told, when days are short and winds are cold. Let Christmas come, its lovely song, when evenings soon and nights are long. Isn't that beautiful? So of course I'm attaching a piece of music here too, because I'm your music director. And I hope that you can gather safely with those you love, and you can ring out 2021, and that we can be together here in this space in 2022 with music and laughter and in community once again. Have yourselves a merry little Christmas, everyone, and see you in the new year. Bye.
Hello all, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. It's Matt Shinneman here, Director of Lifespan Faith Development, wishing you all a wonderful holiday season. Usually when you think of Christmas and the songs that you hear on the radio, they're songs of joy and wonder and awe. And the song that I just played for you, that you just heard, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, even though it says, have yourself a merry little Christmas, it's a little bit different, isn't it? It is a little bit sadder. And that has a lot to do with when it was written. It was written in 1944 for a movie called Meet Me in St. Louis. And that movie was about a family who was leaving their beloved St. Louis and having to transfer to New York City for their father's job. And in the movie, Judy Garland is the one who sings it. Now you see, in 1944, the world was in the midst of its Second World War. And the song itself captures the pain and the sacrifice, not only that Judy Garland's family was going through, but also that the country was going through. In 1944, the country they were done with the war. They were so tired of it, and they just were hopeful for this return to normalcy. Does that sound familiar? As we are in the midst of our second Christmas impacted by this global pandemic, we are hoping for some sort of return to normal. Now, the version I shared with you just before is a little bit different than the version most people know. And that actually has to do with Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra heard the original lyrics and did not think that the song really met the joyful tone of the season and of the album that he was recording. So he actually changed the lyrics. So when you hear the most popular version of the song, which is what most covers are, the cover of Frank Sinatra's version, they sing about hang a shining star upon the highest bough. And if you notice, I didn't sing those lines. I sang the original lines. The original lines from 1944. We'll have to muddle through somehow. They're more appropriate, not only for that time, but for our present time. They're words of persistence, of fortitude, of endurance. Now you see, when Sinatra recorded, there was no through the years we'll be together if the fates allow. They had been together. But that wasn't the case during World War II, and it's not the case today. And if we're honest, it actually captures the mood of the Nativity story better than most songs. Because the Nativity story is not one of sparkle and joy. It is actually one of confusion and squalor. It's about a recognition that the birth of hope has to take place in the midst of darkness, in the midst of doubt and fear and uncertainty. That is where hope is born. Now, it's not about ignoring the darkness, but rather understanding that darkness is inevitable. It's a reminder that in the darkness, we more clearly see the light. And light symbolizes a lot of things. It symbolizes life, symbolizes wisdom, and yes, it symbolizes hope. So, I encourage you all to use the darkness of this season, not only the physical darkness as we have the shortest days of our year, but also the spiritual darkness. And use it as a time of awareness, of a delicate balance between light and dark, as a time for optimism, for a better time when we can be together if the fates allow. But knowing even amidst the darkness, we will persevere. And until the time that we all will be together, we're going to have to muddle through somehow and have ourselves a merry little Christmas. And I know how I'll muddle through, by family and by the faith and love of this community. I love you all. I wish you a very Merry Christmas and happy holidays, even amidst the darkness of our times. Blessed be. Amen.
I wanted to tell a story today about one of my favorite Christmas stories from my family. I have shared before with the congregation that my family had a tradition of doing a tree trimming party. My parents would open the house and invite mostly friends from church, and they would ask for everyone to bring an ornament to decorate the tree, in lieu of bringing a bunch of cookies or food or drinks, although people did tend to bring ornaments and also sometimes food. Still, we did this for many years, but when my father decided to retire, he also decided that they wouldn't do the tree trimming party anymore. It was a lot of work, and they had more than enough ornaments to trim 20 Christmas trees by that point. So the first Christmas that we did not have a tree trimming party for 20 years or whatever, my family got together. This was around 2001, about 20 years ago. My family got together. My nephews were much younger then. They are grown adults now. My brother and his family, my nephews, were here, and my parents were here. I was here, and we were going through boxes and boxes and boxes of ornaments, and some of them were broken, and we sorted them. Keep, throw away, and also the ones that my brother and his family or I decided that we'd like to take for our own trees. Well, I took this little guy. This little cat is actually a toy from a McDonald's Happy Meal circa about 1988 when the Disney film Oliver and Company was out. And this was a little tie-in. It was a Christmas ornament. It's made to hang on a tree, and it has a little microchip in its tummy that when you pressed it originally would play Jingle Bells and that little beeping noise way that like a greeting card will play a song when you open it. And that day that my family was there telling stories about all the ornaments and sharing memories and laughter, we took this ornament out and I said, I wonder if it still works. And I pressed the little chip in its tummy. And it did not play Jingle Bells. No, this little ornament started making a monotonal beep, like a hum, like it might squish out a few notes of Jingle Bells if you held the chip really tightly, like and then you let go and it went back to my nephews thought this was the funniest thing in the world. I thought it was pretty funny too, but like my parent, like other people in the family wanted to throw this thing out. And I was like, no. It was still beeping long after the time it would have taken to play Jingle Bells. It was still beeping minutes later. And so I took it and I buried it inside my coat, hanging in the closet so that we couldn't hear it. When I left my parents that evening, it was still humming. I went home and said, I'm going to do an experiment. I took the ornament, still beeping, humming, on a Sunday evening, and I buried it inside my t-shirt drawer. But it couldn't be heard when it was in there. I checked it every day. This little thing hummed from Sunday evening through Friday morning. When I opened the drawer on Friday and saw and heard that it was silent, I almost pressed the tummy chip again. But I said, no. The tummy chip has had its time. And it went back on the tree, and it has been on my tree every year since then. Well, it didn't take me too long to start having my own tree trimming parties for friends. And of course I told this story because I have told this story a lot. I told this story to my friends, and as we were unpacking ornaments, one so-called friend said, oh, is this the ornament you were talking about with the beeping? And I said, yes. Oh, no, because that, did I mention so-called friend pressed the tummy chip. And then, years after the monotonal hum, this little ornament beeped out a weary-sounding Jingle Bells one time and stopped. It was its own Christmas miracle. He's been silent ever since, but he always has a place of honor on my tree. I hope you'll share stories and traditions with each other at this time of year. And if you have old traditions that no longer serve you, that feel strange or uncomfortable, I hope you'll make new ones. This tradition may only be 20 or so years old, 30 or so years old, but it brings me a lot of joy. I wish so much joy to you and yours this holiday season.